Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. Now, a lot of people assume that animated films are for just kids, and while you could call those people ignorant, I can't blame them for making that assumption, considering how it's really rare for Hollywood to make animated films for teenagers and adults nowadays. Which is a shame, because animation is a really broad art form. It has no limitations, so you can make animated films for anyone, any demographic. And trust me when I say this, there are animated films for older audiences. They do exist. You just have to look outside the Disney, Blue Sky, Sony and Pixar spectrum to find them. For example, Felidae.
Felidae is a German hand-drawn animated thriller. It follows a smart cat called Francis, who has moved into a new home with his owner. Once settled in, Francis discovers that the local cats are being violently killed, and he decides to investigate the root of these murders. With the help of a mutilated feline called Bluebeard, Francis must use his wits and observation skills to uncover the mystery behind these deaths. This film is basically a detective story starring cats, with the novelty of having talking cartoon animals killing each other and having sex, which isn't anything new considering the existence of Fritz the Cat. However, unlike Fritz the Cat, this movie actually has a focused and driven story, plus it's mature about its graphic adult content. It wants to use its sex and gore to support its drama, rather than use it as a cheap gimmick or an easy laugh.
The sex scene in this film is played out like how cats would genuinely sexually interact with each other, through natural seduction methods. This scene is supposed to remind us that these characters are living animals with normal desires.
While the gore is used to display the extent of the killer's violence, this film's graphic elements aren't for comedic effect or sleazy exploitation. They are being used to tell a serious story, which I admire because it's rare for adult animation to use sexual or violent content for dramatic effect. What about the mystery aspect of this movie? Well, Francis's investigation isn't a simple crime case. It's given twists and turns thanks to some well-planted red herrings and slowly revealed details. There are times where you may end up feeling convinced that you already know the killer, but then something could change your mind. I won't spoil it by saying who is responsible behind all these murders, but let's just say that the conspiracy goes deep. Dreams are an important tool in the film's story too. They don't just provide nightmare fuel, they also leave clues or explore our lead character's concerns or thoughts. They're visually stimulating sequences that hold a purpose. In addition, the film relies on atmosphere and tension to stage suspenseful chases or violent fight scenes. However, sometimes this film can be very talkative. As some of you know, I'm a little itchy about dialogue-heavy animated films, because sometimes it can weaken the strength or importance of the actual animation. Felidae's reliance on dialogue either supports or cripples the movie. For example, Francis's first-person narration gives the movie a suitable film noir feel, reminiscent of classic detective movies, so that works. However, while the movie is sometimes capable of spicing up dialogue-driven scenes through atmospheric staging or interesting secondary motions, I will admit that the film can get boring from time to time, by having long scenes of cats sitting about, discussing clues or evidence, with little if nothing interesting to look at while they talk. Yes, these scenes contain vital information for the audience, but surely the movie could have gotten this information across in more visually engaging ways. Either the more boring conversation scenes needed better direction, or the film should have used animated visuals to get across some information. Because the thing is, I often struggle to get invested in the mystery. Like I said, the film is working with a decent mystery plot, but sometimes the way it's being told is kind of dull.
It's frustrating because this film is capable of creating some powerful, imaginative and atmospheric imagery, yet it has these tedious scenes that make me feel sleepy and ruins the flow of the film. Yes, I know you have to be careful about picking what to show for a mystery movie, but it's boring watching cats talking and talking about what might be going on.
Francis is a very likeable cat. He's polite and friendly, but not afraid to get out his claws or make a snappy remark. He's articulate and intelligent, but he can get distracted by his desires. He seems like an everyman to me, and his charm lies in his courage as well as his relatable flaws. I believe that he's the strongest aspect of the film. He sucked me into the crime case through his charismatic appeal and bold confidence. Bluebeard is cheeky and obsessed with food, but he's a loyal investigative partner to Francis. He also sticks to the case, even when he has his doubts. I like him because he can be amusingly ballsy, through brash remarks or crude jokes. He's quite entertaining for who he is. Kong is a brute bully. He clearly enjoys showing off his strength and size because he picks so many fights. However, he does have feelings deep down that he expresses after discovering that his loved one has been murdered. He makes for a decent antagonist because he is clearly having so much fun bullying other cats. Pascal is an articulate cat owned by a wealthy scientist. He's very intelligent and, like Francis, he is capable of using a computer. He's very helpful for Francis's case because he has documented all the cat murders, so he serves an important purpose in the story. The animation for this film is a good effort. It's expressive and fully capable of doing the actions required. The expressions for the characters are readable, and there's some unique secondary motions that add some personality or flavour to the character acting. My only problem is that I often found the character animation to be nauseatingly overactive. It's like the animators were scared of making the characters seem wooden or static, so they forced them to constantly move. Pausing is quite rare. The film is more interested in making characters stay active.
As I've said before, making animated characters constantly move doesn't instantly create the illusion of life. It just makes the character seem bouncy and fidgety. I mean, imagine applying this animation technique to real-life conversations. It would look silly. So, have you seen Transformers 4?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, what did you think of it?
I think it's really amazing. Just like the car just hitting
Alright.
to the other car, just like that.
Oh.
It's really amazing.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah. Who would you say is your favourite robot in the entire film?
It's I think let me see. It's the Drift. You know that?
Yeah, I do.
It's
Yeah.
the Japanese samurai.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I watched this film in its English dub format. My only problem with the English dub is that it has a habit of making characters talk over each other. I'm not sure if this is because the dub director wanted to create a sense of realism, or just tried too hard to sync the English script with the German footage. Either way, it does get annoying, and it's kind of awkward. What about the voice cast? Unfortunately, the voice actors for the English dub went uncredited, and I struggle to find any concrete or formal evidence for who plays who on the internet. However, the English voice actors are pretty good.
Francis's voice sounds charming and magnetic, further supporting the appeal of his character.
The name's Francis.
Friend or foe?
Friend. A friend forever.
Bluebeard's voice is casual, calm, and easygoing, which is perfect for the carefree character.
Hey, little smartass. What do they call you?
Francis.
Francis.
Kong's voice sounds loud and bombastic, but it's this volume that makes him sound intimidatingly confident.
Hey man, I'm pissing myself with fright.
Pascal's voice is clear, well-spoken, and eloquent, reflecting the high class and articulation of his character.
Do you know the meaning of this word? Felidae?
Could it be a scientific name for all our family divisions? Cats, as they're usually called?
Felidae. Evolution has created an astounding number of various creatures. Not one, however, deserves the respect and wonder the genus Felidae has earned.
The original music for this film, which was made by British composer Anne Dudley, is very grand and bold for its intense scenes, often sounding immense in its orchestral scope. thus reflecting the horror of the on-screen tragedy. The score can also calm down to provide some sorrowful and bleak pieces of music, to build an atmosphere of dread and fear. There's also some sultry saxophone for scenes of seduction. It's a good music score that manages to fit the scenes it's applied to. Some may find it to be a bit too overblown, and I can see why. It does get very ambitious and loud in some scenes. The movie's theme song, Felidae, was performed by Culture Club's Boy George. The theme song sounds very atmospheric and relaxed, but there's also something eerie about it, with its soft pumping drums reminiscent of a heartbeat, and ominous whispering backing singers. It's not exactly entirely unsettling to listen to, due to being quite upbeat, but there's an essence of something creepy there.
To conclude, Felidae is a good neo-noir film with nightmarish imagery, a highly likeable main character, a decent mystery, and tense action scenes. I like how it's trying to tell a graphic adult story in a serious and mature way. Unfortunately, the film is crippled by a few boring scenes and fidgety animation. If you really love cats, then this movie is not for you. But if you want to broaden your interest in animated films by seeing something more gruesome, gritty and dark, then Felidae is for you. I'm going to give this film 3.5 strawberries out of 5. Now, if some of you out there are still wondering if this movie is your cup of tea, then consider this. If you enjoyed such titles as Who Framed Roger Rabbit or Seven, then you're going to love Felidae. I've been Jambareeqi. I hope you enjoyed my review. Feel free to subscribe to my channel, and I encourage you to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. In the next episode, I'm going to review Lilo and Stitch 2, Stitch Has a Glitch. This is the last episode that's being filmed in this flat. I'm moving to another flat for the next episode. I've had a lot of fun adventures here, but it's time to pack my suitcase. Cheerio, folks.